Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Special guest in studio joining us, Phyllis Bender. Phyllis, it's so nice to see you, and nicer even to do this in person. Phyllis is in charge of the Miners Hall Museum, and if you've never been there, you are truly missing out on a piece of wonderful four-state history and culture. Phyllis, number one, thank you for your time and the time that you put into Miners Hall Museum as well. Many people may have heard about the mining tradition here, but if let's say you were moving into the area and you were examining places to go and things to check out, how did you and forgive me for saying this, sell the Miners Hall Museum to somebody who's never been there before?
Okay. You hear the word mining and you think, well, it's just a museum that has some chunks of coal and some equipment from the mining industry. But we actually tell the story of the immigrant's life, and almost everyone who lives here and has been here for a period of time has a deep connection to that. Most of the people who came over here came because of the mining industry. My grandparents and their families and their brothers and sisters, they all came because of the mining industry over here.
And it's become such a resource that you will see people that are writing historical books that spend days upon days upon days pestering Phyllis and her crew for historical documents that they have and also stories that they have to tell. If you could kind of talk a little bit about your collection, because it really does take a community outreach and a community pouring in to preserve things that have been around for hundreds of years now, and for you to keep them up to date. How has this collection grown throughout the years?
Well, it really grew very quickly when we opened. We didn't realize the outpouring of support that we would receive that quickly. Our collection has grown, and we actually have plans for an addition to the building. We just have so many artifacts. People love seeing their items on display because they tell a story, and we tell a story at the museum. It is not just you're looking at a few items. We tell from the time they came in, the immigrants came into New York, and then we tell throughout the life. We tell about their social life, their religious life, how they studied, their school life, just everything. So it's a wonderful story when you follow along from the beginning of when they first came.
I should also point out that the Miners Hall Museum is in Franklin, Kansas, easy enough to find. I always take 160 and take a left. And it's a beautiful building, and you can't miss it once you get into Franklin right there. Phyllis, when it comes to the culture of mining around here, because like you said, it is so much more than rocks and equipment. It truly is about people. I remember one of the first times I got to intimately work with you is when we did the healthcare exhibit out there, tracing back the sisters and how they took care of the miners and their original mission here. What does it say about the communities around here that it's been so important to preserve that legacy as far as their ancestry?
You can look to even this tiniest coal camp, which now there might be only 3 homes in that little coal camp. It's very important to everyone. They want their area to be remembered, because at one time that tiny coal camp became a bustling community when the mining was in full force in that area. So it's very important to everyone.
Now, with this being National Tourism Week and the Miners Hall Museum being part of the Big Kansas Road Trip, I know that you have a quarterly exhibit going on right now, and is this something that that you've kind of amped up for, hoping that it brings more visibility to the hall?
We actually began that before we opened the museum. We were given the honor of hosting a Smithsonian exhibit, which you were a part of.
It was just tremendous.
It was magnificent, exactly. And we did a monthly exhibit leading up to the Smithsonian, and that became so important for the museum that we decided to carry on the tradition. And we have been in existence 10 years now, and we have done a quarterly exhibit that entire time. So our current exhibit is on display, and each year we have kind of a system of what we follow. We honor a coal camp, and this year we happen to be doing Arma Coal Camp.
Nice.
And it's very, very interesting. It's even if you're not from Arma, it's wonderful. Yes.
Folks, if you're not familiar with the Traveling Smithsonian exhibit, it is not something that they don't throw this thing up in the middle of the street and say, everybody come look. They vet these places as far as their historical and cultural significance to the communities in which they serve. And like Phyllis said, the Miners Hall Museum was picked as one of the places for the Traveling Smithsonian exhibit. It's a really, really big deal. Now, I know you've got 64th graders on their way to the museum. Can I con you into sticking around for one more segment, because I got a couple more questions I want to ask of you?
Sure, I'll be glad to.
Phyllis has wonderful docents at the museum that are helping her out, and really, I don't think she's chomping at the bit to get around 64th graders right now.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. All right, we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.